honest answer would be like, when you're young, you don't know what you have, right? So as I was young, I fidget a lot. I couldn't sit still. So like as an adult, now I learn.
I fidget a lot too, but it's
Yeah.
only because I have a bad back and messed up knees.
Yeah. It was now that's another reason, but
I fell in love with like this one shot that I took. I believe it was Monday morning or maybe last week or something. And I'm in love with, as a matter of fact, I want to show you that. Alex, are we going to have a Patreon?
I've asked you twice if we want to.
Everybody should have a Patreon.
Later.
No, Patreon is
Later, as in like ask me later. Because I forget and I'm too busy one time, and then I came to my senses and realized, oh, this is not pizza. This is bread and white sauce. It might as well be a salad.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, why you gotta do this to me?
The reason a taco can't, no.
Why?
Because literally it is a shell.
Is a bun not a shell? Is a hot dog a taco?
A burrito is closer to being a sandwich than a taco. But
all right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This is the Grappling Review. My name is Gabe, and today we got Jobany, who is also, not to be confused with the yogurt, Chobani. He is the head Nogi instructor here at the dojo, good friend of the gym, and we'll get into all that stuff. But he is not here for the first time. This is not the first time that we cast, unfortunately. Yes. You know, we tried to like, we had an attempt at restarting this podcast. Again, the story goes that I had this podcast like years back, and I wanted to restart it. We were filming, and we would film the podcast and all that, but unfortunately, never produced any of it.
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing, and yeah, so now we have, and it's only because I just didn't have the skills. And thankfully, my producer, camera guy, editor, and all that stuff, Alex, was behind the camera. Thank you, Alex. Got together, and third time's a charm, hopefully, with the Grappling Review. And yeah, so the whole idea with the podcast now, like when we were doing it, we were just kind of trying to take on like whatever the current topics in jiu-jitsu are.
Right.
And, just running with it, trying to give like our takes on whatever's happening right now. The problem with that is that if we don't release the podcast right away, the news is irrelevant.
Right.
Hence why I never released any of those episodes. Because at a certain point,
it's just like talking about nothing.
Yeah, it's like talking about nothing. But are you still with the Latinx podcast?
Yeah. So I mean, again, same, like everybody has their own thing, but we try to, record as consistently as we can. But same, like when we can't tackle current topics, we'll tackle like general topics like that you are common to come across in like the world of not only martial arts, but jiu-jitsu, things like that.
What's the name of the podcast again?
Latinx Guard Podcast.
There you go, Latinx Guard Podcast. Word. Oh, I just realized right now. I don't know why it didn't hit me until just now that it's Latinx Guard
Podcast. Yes, be found on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff.
How many episodes are you guys in? I mean, it's been a while now.
So, including the ones that are on Patreon, we have like over 100. But like all for free, like
you said, Patreon.
Yeah. So
you guys got a Patreon?
Yes, but I just show up to work. That's all handled by Ray Mangrojales. Yeah, we have a Patreon, and that's I think we have like about 10 or so maybe episodes there, and then like 80 or something on Spotify. Yeah, so like
Alex, are we gonna have a Patreon?
I've asked you twice if we want to.
Everybody should have a Patreon.
Later.
No, Patreon is
later, as in like ask me later, because I forget and I'm too busy.
Now, Patreon is definitely, like, I'm trying to figure out how to get my own Patreon. No, Patreon is the way to go.
Ooh, you know what we're going to do? All our outtakes and all the stuff that don't make the actual YouTube episode will be on the Patreon. So
yeah, stay tuned for a potential Patreon.
Thank you for that idea. Maybe that's how I pay for my editor.
There you go. I mean, it's how we pay for the equipment stuff over there. So
there you go. More equipment.
There, yeah.
Sick.
You don't need that.
What?
You have too many cameras already.
That is not true. I need more lenses. Okay, we can use more lenses. We can use other point of view cameras and all that stuff. You know, who says there's no such thing as not enough cameras? Fair. Anyway, we need a Patreon though. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
Is it only like podcast stuff on the Patreon or?
For the most part, so like we do this thing like the fight cast where we'll watch like whether it's jiu-jitsu fights. I don't, again, my job is to show up and add my part. So sometimes it'd be like, all right, what are we doing? And then we'll watch some like backyard fighting shit.
Oh
So
my
sometimes we'll
God.
do like fight casts like that. The other day we did it was low kick championship. It literally,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Dude.
So sometimes, like on a more chill episode, we'll watch, some fun stuff like that. We watch some UFC fights. But then we'll tackle, like, whether it's current events or just like general topics, like about how much it's changed in the meta, all that kind of stuff. So, keep it relevant. But I think,
I might need to subscribe to your Patreon.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Please do.
So speaking of like current events and stuff like that, with the Crown just passing and Wardzinski, who you're a huge fan of, um, uh, getting caught in the omoplata by Nolan Stewart, who, shout out to Nolan Stewart, kind of came from nowhere.
Yeah.
A friend of the crew with like Isaac and all them and all that stuff. The way they came onto the scene is something that needs to be like talked about and revisited, because it just kind of came out of nowhere. I think he won Pans or got second at Pans in Florida a few years ago, and that was kind of like the start of his ascension. And now he's fighting on the Crown and wins the Crown. Did you catch any of the matches live?
I've just, to be honest, I saw most of the highlights. So when I saw Wardzinski get caught, it was bittersweet because there was a student from here who a while back was like, omoplatas aren't real. Uh, so when I saw it instantly, I thought of them, and I was like, "See, they are real."
Yeah, Dave should not be named.
Yeah. So it was, but at the same time, it's like, it's good. I like when classic jiu-jitsu gets a little bit of light on it, and everybody gets caught, right? Like, it definitely
Omoplatas
sucked.
are real.
I definitely caught. I mean, aside from Wardzinski getting caught, I saw some of the women. They put on a good show. They got a lot of subs. Sarah Galval doing her thing out there. I think the
Yeah,
Crown.
she subbed Brianna, right?
Rihanna St. Yeah. I think the Crown was one of the better IBJJF events, right? Like, I think, at least for whatever reason, the athletes go in there a little bit more aggressively, and they go in there, looking to put on more of a show as compared to like a lot of these other events. But gi jiu-jitsu is still going to be gi jiu-jitsu. It's not going to be as entertaining as no gi.
I still think that there is a um I still think it has a lot more to do with the matchups versus the environment. You can have like really unentertaining no-gi matches
For sure.
despite having highlight real competitors. Mikey, for example, in his last UFC fight, it was just not very entertaining just because of the mismatch. But then you also have matches where you just have two people that don't do anything. And for me, most of ADCC, most of it are very boring matchups of people just standing the entire time, waiting for like the last second to score. So it's not, to me, it has more to do with, I think, more to do with the tournament setting than anything, because the promise of the prize is more important to the athlete than the entertainment value.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that at the Crown, you had a lot of that in like the lower weight class male divisions, especially, the featherweight division, where you get a lot of that gamesmanship where the only thing that matters is wearing the crown at the end.
Yeah.
How you get there doesn't matter to them because it's a tournament. And it's kind of like, I can either try to highlight my opponent, but then I lose the match and I don't advance, or I do advance and save my energy or save my highlights for the final match.
Yeah.
So I think it has more to do with the tournament style format
For sure.
versus the super fight format. And I have my own opinions on like how I would change competition in order to make it more exciting.
Yeah, agreed. That's like another.
Well, I mean, I still believe that, like, for example, I still believe that like we should treat these jiu-jitsu events like an entertainment, competitive combat sport, where like MMA, boxing, and even in in some of the professional grappling scenes with ONE FC and UFC. Not that we've seen it really in UFC, thankfully, because of pretty good. Even though there's a lot of mismatches, pretty good entertainment value matches. Um, I believe that whenever there's a stalling or when it's very obvious that the person is, just kind of chilling there waiting for like time to pass, or they're only like fake advancing,
Yeah.
there's a whole ass school and team and everything where they're really good at looking like they're trying to pass, but they just reset and
Right.
you never get a stalling call. I think that kind of thing is subjective, but it's easy to tell, and I think that like that stuff should be penalized.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they should introduce, more like full on resets. Like, hey, nothing is happening in close guard, so
Right.
I'm gonna stand you guys back up, you know, or nothing is happening while you're in mount. I'm gonna stand you guys back up. That's my own personal belief
Yeah.
because going to mount and then staying there for 2 minutes suck from an entertainment value. There's another I want to ask you about this other kind of like rule that I just kind of came up with it yesterday. So I was breaking down matches with Juan, who just competed at the New Jersey Open.
Okay.
And we were going over like what he could have done, better in order to win because he got second, and in the finals match, really his opponent just did a really good job of the gamesmanship part of it, right? Like gaming the ref, gaming the borders, understanding where he was on the scorecard and all that stuff. And then with 2 minutes left or about a minute and a half left, you can tell he's stalling.
Right.
In my opinion, I feel like one thing that we can add is when there's a minute left, penalties are doubled. So if you're gonna get a stalling call, you're not just getting one penalty, you're gonna get two penalties and your opponent gets an advantage.
Okay.
Or let's say you already got a penalty earlier in the match with 1 minute left, since penalties are like doubled or maybe they just advance an extra, instead of getting a penalty and one advantage, your opponent gets a penalty and 2 points. So this way, with 1 minute left, you don't have a ton of people that are just like, oh, I'm just going to coast for the last minute.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Um.
Do you see any problems with it?
Well, I think obviously that off the rip, I personally can't find this specific problem. I feel like there's always going to be a problem, but I like the area, right? Like focusing on the penalty. So like in the last minute, have making the penalty have a heavier cost to kind of
Yeah.
encourage the action, as opposed to like, oh, I'm up by
Right.
like an advantage, let me stall. I mean, I don't know. I think something to do with the penalty. So whether it is double, whether you
Or
like,
maybe it could be like, all penalties in the last minute automatically include 2 points for your opponent.
something like that.
Whether
I
it's the
think
first, second, or third
right.
penalty, because the fourth one is DQ. But like
Right.
the first, second, or third penalty automatically give your opponent 2
2
points.
points. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this way, there's no grabbing of the pants, even though because again, like let's say if I put you in this scenario
Mhm.
and you're winning by 2 points,
Right.
right? And it's a minute left, your opponent puts you in a bad situation, and you know it's illegal to grab inside their pants, but you know that you can afford one penalty, you might do it just to save yourself,
Right.
and then take the penalty. But if you know your opponent's going to get 2 points, you're not going to do that just
Or,
because of the
or at
risk
least
of
you're
it,
less likely, right? That would be the expectation. No,
Yeah.
I definitely like the fact that you target the penalty as the area of focus in that last minute. Because now, if you start to make it too complicated, as like, oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
takedowns are
exactly.
more
Yeah, like
points,
I
or
would, I would
pass.
not, I wouldn't necessarily change anything except that
Right.
because so many matches end in the last minute and a half with people just stalling a lead
Yeah.
and not fighting, and that sucks.
Yeah. No, I like that, and I think that is something should be probably implemented more, or at least considered, having like bigger consequences in that last minute for sure.
Um, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit.
Shoot.
We have like all these books on the table and stuff, and I wanted to talk a little bit about like your art. If you have ever like taken a class with Giovanni or met Giovanni, he's always like, if he's not teaching, he's always kind of sitting somewhere and just like, doodling on pages, and creating art. You know what I mean? So kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like specifically your art? Is there, how, first of all, how'd you kind of get into it exactly? And why are there so many pages on this table right now?
Well, I guess the real honest answer would be like when you're young, you don't know what you have, right? So as I was young, I had a lot of, I fidget a lot. I couldn't sit still. So like as an adult, now I learn.
I fidget a lot too, but it's
Yeah.
only because I have a bad back and messed up
Yeah.
knees.
So now now that's another reason. But no, when I was younger, that kind of now I have ADHD. So like it's hard for me. Like I in class when I was younger, sidebar, I like taught myself how to write my left hand because I didn't want to do my schoolwork. So write the ABCs in my back. So while it's not pretty, I can
Wait,
write.
because you didn't want to do schoolwork?
Yeah. So I would
So
go
you'd
to,
rather do other work?
yes. Like that's when there would be writing. I once won a competition of writing a story because I never eaten pie and I wanted to tell a story about, and I ended up winning some second grade competition. Like I've always had the point I'm making is I've always had this creative bone. I guess I like to create. So when I found jiu-jitsu, it was like I guess at that time the first outlet where I was like, okay, I'm becoming an adult. I need to make money, but I also found this thing that makes sense for me, and that kind of started. I always liked drawing, but I remember in high school, I was never good. My art teacher was encouraging. He'd look at me and be like, "A for effort," like things like that. But it was the one class where I felt like there was no expectation. So with art, I guess the way I grew up, there's always like some sort of shit you have to meet. Art, there isn't that always that expectation. So I guess a few years ago, I was going through this big transition, and I don't know, I just was trying to find ways to stay off my phone less. So then I started doodling on the train. I find that I really like gel pens. So then I started to get specific, like by the Pilot G2. Those are the kind of gel pens that I really enjoy using. And that kind of started it. So then I really started leaning into like not put, because then like the perfectionist in me, then you're like, oh, this has to be like this, and I'm like, it's not like it really matters. So then I just started to
Kind
get
of
more
defeats the purpose of like art in a sense, right?
right. So I guess for me, it was like just another outlet. I've always, like I said, I've always had this creative bone, and when you're younger, like again, culturally, we don't know how to like. My parents didn't know how to explore that, and I guess as an adult, like I was just with already having a weird life and doing jiu-jitsu as a living, like it just was. It became a hobby or just something else to kind of express myself. And over time, like it helps a lot with the ADHD. Like it doesn't matter if I'm at a social event, like, or if I've been at a bar where I'm like, I'll be at the
That's
bar.
what I'm saying.
I'll just be
Like
sketching.
it's like you're always sketching. You're always putting transferring whatever's in your mind to paper.
Yeah.
And like at first, when I would first see it, I thought, oh, that's kind of cool and stuff like that. And then I would kind of get glimpses of your art, and I'd be like, wow, that's actually really interesting. Some of the pieces I would see were like, in some cases, some of the images or some of the sheets of paper just seemed like you were just trying to express whatever emotion or images. But then in others, you were, designing and creating these like interesting shapes. And it was just really cool to see this very specific and intriguing art. And so I kind of have like some things that I want to do, but I asked you to, if you would let me just take a look at your books and stuff, just because I wanted to kind of like see what your art's all about. And you gave me this stack of books and stuff, and I really got to know a lot more of your art there. And I realized there's a very unique style of art that I don't even know if you realize how unique your art is.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I know that it's like, it might seem like, oh, it's just like sketching and a pastime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know any other gel pen artists.
I mean, I guess like it's much. It's I always have, and I get it from my mom, my dad too. Like no matter what, we add our own flavor, So like whether it's cooking
Oh,
or whether, yeah, exactly. So like even though I like flowers, I'm like I don't just want to draw like sunflowers. I'm like, okay, well, how can I turn this into something with? Okay, this is how my brain turned this thing. I've gotten the word trippy, funky, things like that, but. I
you
guess
do have some trippy pieces there.
yeah, and like again, sometimes there's an inspiration behind it. Sometimes it's just like an emotion. Sometimes it's literally just like mostly anxiety, and I'm just
Do
like
you
letting.
do you have like a favorite piece that you've done?
I
Is there
guess
anything in any of these books that like are super interesting to
maybe
you?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember what's in. I'm like, there's been a few that I'm like, oh, that's cool that I was able to like put this on paper. It's like something I didn't think that I could do. Or like if I just saw somebody on, a YouTube short and I was just like, this person explained how to make your image much deeper. And I was like, huh. And I started to play around with that. And one, it tells me my brain works differently. But two, I guess much like most of my artwork, I don't think about how I feel about it. I'm like, all right, this is cool.
It's
Move
so,
on to the
so
next.
it's funny you say that because that's how I feel about photography. Photography for me is like, a newish hobby. I mean, everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a camera,
Right.
and everybody has like a really high powered, camera system in their pocket these days. Maybe not everybody, but most people do, right?
Right.
And so, you could take a relatively good photo with pretty much any, small device that happens to sit in your pocket. But I fell in love with like the artistic value of photography, the careful nature of like, waiting for the right time to hit the shutter button, capture that perfect moment. I fell in love with like this one shot that I took. I believe it was Monday morning or maybe last week or something. And I'm in love with. As a matter of fact, I want to show you that real quick. Um, Let me put it on the screen too, but it's this shot right here. So check this out. This is like the first photo that I feel like has like this like artistic element to my photography, where I'm beginning to understand what it's. I mean, I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass, but this is just like how I feel. But like, it's the first time that I took a photo where I'm like I intentionally wanted to capture something interesting,
Yeah.
that tells a story. You know what I mean? That's this picture right here,
Okay.
where Austin's going with Kristen. You can't really see Kristen. You can tell that there's somebody in front of Austin. You have this belt that's kind of, just in the image to the right. And sort of what happened in the moment is that like, they were having an intense round. And and Austin, like many of us do when we're rolling, mid match, we're like, all right, get this thing out of the way. It's in my way,
Mm-hmm.
and throw it to the side. And that's just to me like this like awesome story of being locked in. I love the angles of the wall. I love the mats. I took it in color, but loved it in black and white. And that was like the first time that I felt like artistic with photography.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment like that where you felt like you went from doodling to creating art, or do you feel that way about the sketches you do at all?
So that's a very good question, and if I'm being completely honest, I have moments. So with sketching, I guess maybe like probably there was this one thing that I drew, and it was like a big image, and it had little things inside of it. So it was like a building with little, and it kind of was supposed to represent how my brain works, right? It's like this big brain, but it's always has a million thoughts at once. But for that experience, I did have it. I also like making beats, and I had that experience when I was like falling asleep.
I
It was
got work for you for that when it comes to that.
I was falling asleep and it was almost midnight and I was working with I'm sure I don't know if you know, but maybe your parents know Jose.
Yeah, of course.
I was working one of his songs and something just clicked. And again, so I I grew up in the hood, so it's not like I had money to go to these schools for these things. So I kind of just started to explore, and I had a friend, shout out to Beep, who gave me a lesson on making beats and how to use the systems and stuff. But I was sitting in my house, and it was almost midnight, and I was working with that song. I was sampling it, and something clicked, and I was like, I woke up, and I was up for like another hour and a half. I'm like, oh shit, that's what he meant. And it
Yeah.
started to make sense. And I'm like, so now I have over like, I would say at this point, like over 200, not, and again, over 250 like beats that I've just like played around with, like different songs. A lot of them now, I guess lately have been like, I can never play instruments. So this is like the kind of the middle ground where it allows me to explore that too. So like I can't play a piano, but I can play around with the keys and I'll put in together melodies, things like that. So with sketching, I guess I don't. Some people have given me compliments, and I can't ignore that, right? We're not that
Sometimes it's
delusional.
difficult to take a compliment. I understand that.
Yeah, but for that experience, I guess I felt it more when making like beats than sketching. For sketching, it's more just like, it helps a lot more on a day to day. Like it's harder to make beats on the go. So,
I don't know, man. Maybe to me there's a lot more. Not a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more, but there's a lot that's being conveyed in some of these images. Like for example, like I love like and we'll probably prop it up, and stuff like that on screen. Maybe take a photo and overlay it and stuff. But like this sketch, like I would love to know, kind of if you can recall, like your thoughts and images. What, like, and then this one too, because I actually like so for example. This one, which again, we'll show it on screen properly. Oh, is this like hidden love letters?
I don't even know. There's a bunch of stuff there.
So like this one I love because like I'm looking at like, design of flowers and all that, but then like I see a face here. I don't know if that was the intention. It's like I love like this image over here quite a bit. And then the whole like tres golpes thing, which is something I see throughout all your artwork randomly. I don't know if there's like a specific meaning behind it, but I love like how you designed that. So
So I guess first the tres golpes is like, again, I always have ideas, but life be life, and it's like the pod, like tres golpes would be the brand. That would be like what,
like the idea.
right? That's like what everything falls. The LC, whatever you want to call it.
Tres golpes, for those that don't know, is a Dominican dish. It's like a classic staple dish where it's eggs, salami, and
fried cheese.
fried cheese.
And some they have
It should be really four now that I think about it, because it's always mango.
well, the mango. So the tres golpe is the mango, and then with the tres golpe is the salami cheese and the egg. So the tres golpe
The
is
mango is just automatic.
yeah. So it's mango
Yeah, it's
with the tres
staple.
golpe. Yes.
You know?
So the tres golpe, I guess I guess the way I don't know nothing about business, but in the years that I've been like an adult, you learn things have to have a title. So for me, I was like, all right, at some point, I'm gonna start to create. So I have to have something. And that's always just been that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
And I like to tie things to culture, so that's kind of where that came from.
Tying it back to your fruit, your
Always.
foundation, all that.
I was born here, but my parents are Dominican. I am Dominican. I am a brown man in America. I'm not good with details, so as you can see through a lot of my I can't draw people. I'll be able to see a video. I might be able to trace, but it's also not my area. I don't like
But
that.
that's what I'm saying. You're not replicating what you're seeing. You're just conveying the images that are in your head.
So sometimes I guess with this one specifically, like I was in the mood of creating like flowers and things like that, but then this started to become something, and I'm like, oh, it can be, you can now start to fuse like that abstract and make it look like a face, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sometimes that'll be the thing. So sometimes I'll draw butterflies, and the design of the wings will intentionally be like an eye, or it'll intentionally be like a smile. So that would be that. I guess in this case, it was supposed to be like the eyes, and then this was either
Yeah, I see a mustache. I see nose, eyes, beard, or maybe things coming out of his mouth, whatever it is and stuff. But
it was more like it could be anything. You can turn it into a smile, or you can turn it into whatever you'd like. That's what I like about. So for me personally, when I was
Yeah.
drawing this, it was tears, because I'm a sad boy, which leads us to this one, right? So because I'm a lot of times in my head, it was like I was probably listening to some Joe Budden shit, and this is just like, we are only that. So no matter what version of you exists, and if you believe in there being multi universes or multiverses, like you're human at the end of the day,
Yeah.
as far as you know, right? Unless there's another world where only cyborgs exist, right? So as far as I know, we are only that. So-
cyborgs can be human.
no, for sure. And regardless of that, I am only that. So that's kind of what it comes down to. And sometimes, you're feeling the pressure because you're falling short and shit. So it was just a reminder. And sometimes that's kind of where like this comes from. So yeah.
I mean, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like to me, like it's like these aren't just straight up doodles or just sketches. This is this is art that's conveying emotion and thoughts and a time and place in your life, which is why to me I call it art. It's why I love it so much, and I hope that we could do more with it. So stay tuned. I got some ideas. I only say that because I remember this one time that I had like I had a notebook with like some drafts of love letters, and I forgot. It was actually a sketchbook. So I had some drafts of love letters that I kind of ripped out of the book, but I didn't want to throw it away because I didn't want anybody to find them. So I just folded it, put it in the back of the book, and I completely forgot about any of this. And swear to you, like a month ago, I'm like trying to clean out my closet, trying to clean out like a bunch of crap that I have at home. Found this sketchbook, and I was like, it's a hardcover sketchbook and barely used. And I was like, oh sweet, like a new sketchbook. I can kind of go back to sketching. I used to love sketching myself, and all that. But then as I'm going through it, the same way, like just these stack of papers come out, and now it's like, oh my god, I was so corny.
That was so
It
corny.
was horrible. It was horrible reading them, and I was like, I cannot believe I wrote this to someone.
I'm still
Like
corny, so
over 10 years
doing
ago.
better.
Well, it's cool to be corny now,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a thing.
This is what I was. This one I guess will be the one.
Oh,
So I mean, and there's like a few, like I get into these like waves. So this one I guess I like because I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be in my brain, and that was to answer your question earlier, was a part where I was like, okay, I guess if I wanted to draw something, I have an idea on how to express myself a little bit better. Like I was starting to understand a little bit more about that kind of art. So that was the one I was talking about, and I guess like most of my art, I like to make it my own while being inspired by the things around me. So
I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, this is the exact same thing. This is exactly what I was talking about. Like, this isn't just straight up doodles. So that's sick. All right, so that's another thing about art and like jiu-jitsu. I think that like jiu-jitsu happens to attract, at least here in Bushwick or at the dojo, jiu-jitsu happens to attract a lot of artists. We have like that main piece in the grappling room, the Mirage piece of art,
yeah,
which is from Aaron Williams. He's a member here, a longtime member. Love that piece of art specifically because Aaron was at the time just kind of getting rid of stuff at home. He was gonna chop it up. It's this, a pretty large piece that's made out of plywood. He did a lot of plywood. Plywood was like screen printing and paper and stuff like that. And he was just gonna chop it up and throw it away. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And this is like the perfect example of like one man's trash is another person's treasure because that piece of art has followed me through all three iterations of the dojo. The first one on Cypress, Star Street, and now this one over here on Gardner. And it's always been like a centerpiece of the gym, right? And interestingly enough, having a conversation with Aaron and telling and reminding him about like that whole story that he was just going to get rid of it and I wanted to keep it, and so he donated it to the gym. He now, I mean, I don't know if he's like just appreciating it more or anything like that, but he now doesn't look at it as trash anymore. Now he's like, I might want to, borrow it for like an exhibition at some point or whatever,
That's sick.
Whereas at one point he was ready to completely destroy and get rid of it.
Yeah.
We have Kevin, who's an oil painter. He's also a teacher. This is a piece from him that he gave to me. Actually, originally he let me borrow it. I wanted to have an art show here at the dojo. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. I didn't get enough kind of, artists lined up in time to have a proper art show here as part of our grand opening. But instead of taking it back, he gave it to the dojo as a gift, gave it to myself as a gift. And that's kind of like one of the things that I love about like jiu-jitsu is how it attracts creative minds, whether it's through art, through videography, photography, and all that stuff. Do you know like, or do you have an idea why that is? Or like if you were to kind of put like your thoughts or your fingers on on why there's so many creatives in jiu-jitsu. I have my thoughts, and I speak on this. If you have seen like our our mini doc, shameless plug, on YouTube, you'll see my thoughts on artistic value and the dojo and martial arts and all that stuff. But why is it that so many creators are attracted to martial arts in general?
Well, I mean,
If you had to like,
I mean, it's in the name, right? It's art, and any kind of art allows us to express ourselves freely. So whether it's dancing, whether it's drawing, whether it's, and I think like jujitsu, it has grown a lot in popularity, right, in the mainstream, thanks to like the growth of MMA and just like social media and all that stuff.
bro, I got an ad from Instagram yesterday about like their new teens accounts, and it's
crazy.
an ad of like a teenager doing jujitsu, but then like protecting themselves through like their Instagram teen accounts and all
Yeah.
that.
So
I just think that if that's not proof that jujitsu is now mainstream, I don't know what is.
for sure. So like I feel like as an art, it's also like for parents, they get to get rid of the kids for a little bit. They're putting them in an activity that shows them not only to defend themselves but also how to move, things like that. So as an art, I think that naturally is going to bring people, and it's going to naturally bring in people to the door that either never had the space to create, or to now explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah,
So like I think especially you see the way I think the way people train says a lot about them. So like if you're somebody who's very stiff, you've probably never been like you've probably played a lot of football, or you've lived life a certain way. So I think that's where something like jujitsu or martial arts allows you to like step out of that for a little bit. And like
yeah.
if you're always on top and like the aggressor, now you get to be on the bottom and be more on defense and kind of like explore that, and now you have to be creative in different ways. So I think
That's an interesting point. I never really thought about it that way. Where like, well, yeah, I do think that like jujitsu and martial arts in general, you're gonna kind of like you'll see who you are based on how you train or how you compete and all that stuff. But never really seen it in a way as from that point of view of like you come in as this person, but jujitsu forces you to become something else, to become a little bit more creative and stuff because of it.
right.
And it's true, right? The same person that's just like, I want to be on top, I want to put pressure and all that stuff. The moment they're in a bad situation and they don't know what to do, they're going to have to kind of like dig deep into some source of creativity in order to kind of get back to where they want to be.
For sure.
So
Like, and I mean, you've done this long. Like, even the idea of flow rolling, that's like a skill. It would be like if you got to color inside the lines, right? Like, there's skills within the skill that I think sometimes people don't know how to flow roll because they don't know how to go slow, not because they don't know how to flow roll,
yeah,
right? Like somebody grabs them and they automatically get into some sort of response. That's where our job as coaches is to hopefully like differentiate that and guide them. But not everybody's also. The other thing is like not everybody's gonna also apply these things.
yeah, yeah,
So with that, I think that's a big reason why like it's an art at the end of the day, and this allows us to explore that a little bit different. I think going back to like the ADHD, a lot of people don't want to sit and just like write or draw. Some people want to move, or some people just can't sit, or for whatever reason. Like for me,
facts. Yeah,
again, I can't play instruments, but as far as I can remember, I've been beating on a table for as long as I can, right? I remember taking accordion lessons when I was young. A lot of this came from the fact that like I had an itch to scratch, but I also couldn't sit still. So again, jiu-jitsu really clicked for me because it helped kind of scratch that itch of not staying still, but also I was doing something with my body. And I
mm.
was never like, again, I appreciate all the compliments. Like, I don't think any of my like art is like mind blowing, but it's a outlet for me. And with jujitsu, it's the same. So I think that's kind of what attracts a lot of
Yeah,
people. It just like allows them, and it takes away that layer of embarrassment, right? Like sometimes you look silly, and I think this is the place where it's okay.
yeah,
It's like when you're drawing in your house, and if you're doing something alone, like it's easier for. So this is a place where people feel safe as well, and that allows people to grow too. If you're in an environment that you aren't able to like really tap into that, then it's gonna be hard for you to grow regardless.
yeah. All right. So, last question. If you've been listening to the podcast, you already know where we are going with the with this question. Do you like pizza?
Yes.
Do you love pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had Dominican pizza?
You have to clarify what Dominican pizza is, or what you're considering Dominican pizza.
I mean, I don't know anybody else I could ask about Midnight's Pizza in Santiago.
Also, I have not, because I haven't been in Santiago in over 15 years.
Damn.
So it's not.
All right. So have you had pizza in DR that's not Domino's or Pizza Hut? Because
yes.
Pizza Hut is actually still a big thing in DR.
Okay,
actually.
so I have, but that was also over 20 years ago, so I couldn't tell you much about it.
Well, so the reason I bring it up is because, you know, we always, like, we've been talking about, like, you know, with every episode so far, just like, you know, what your favorite pizza is and stuff over here in New York, local spots. And,
Okay.
you know, we already kind of, I feel like the pattern is that, like, whatever your local spot is, that's like everyone's favorite, you know, pizza, even though there might be some other more marquee pizza spots and all that. But I was hoping you'd know what Midnight's Pizza is. So Midnight's Pizza in Santiago, I don't even know they're still in existence. I haven't been to DR in a minute. But I do remember loving the pizza over there. And the interesting thing about Midnight's Pizza is that it's like a Chinese Dominican family-owned pizza spot.
Okay.
And it's the weirdest thing to go to like a pizza spot, have an entire family of Chinese people that only have like straight up Dominican Spanish. Like, it's not like they went to DR and then like learned broken Spanish to communicate. They were born and raised over there with like the most Dominican Spanish you can ever hear. You know, the que lo que and this, that, and third and all that. But their specialty pizza is, you know, typical New York style slice. So big pie, big triangle with like shredded chicken and corn on top. And it is like, my mouth is watering thinking about this pizza. I don't know if that's gonna put people off.
I'm gonna go talk to my dad later and ask him about it. See if he remembers.
For reals. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm like breaking any pizza rules. I like to think of the excuse that Ludacris gives, you know, different area codes. You know what I mean?
Yes, I believe that too.
So I'm good on having pizza outside of New York. And
so on the topic of pizza, since I wasn't able to answer, how do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
I like pineapple on pizza.
All right, cool.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, because
I think we might get a lot of hate from this episode.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's people that really like people.
I actually love pineapple on pizza.
So does that include the ham too?
Yeah. Hawaiian pizza.
Yo, Hawaiian pizza is delicious.
I think it's so good.
But people have really gotten, oh my God, how could they got so mad? And I'm
man,
which is fine.
I feel like that's something that started like on Instagram or whatever, like a meme that like, oh, like you don't do pineapple on pizza.
Yeah,
That's
nah.
not, bro.
What's something that you can't put on pizza?
Barbecue sauce.
Why? I mean, I'm just like, is this barbecue sauce by itself? Chicken barbecue, like what are you?
Yeah, see, that's where I get, like, I understand putting like meat on pizza and all that, chicken on pizza, but if you put barbecue sauce on pizza,
okay.
Oh my God.
So even
ranch,
with the chicken,
somebody, Isaac likes ranch on pizza, bro.
Well, that's a thing. There's some people that love ranch on everything.
That is disgusting, bro.
It's not my.
Oh my God, bro. Ranch on pizza. So I guess it kind of falls in the same, you know, space as ranch, where it's a sauce, and the one thing that I don't want you to mess with is the sauce on pizza, right? like 3 ingredients to pizza that make it pizza is bread, sauce, and cheese. Anything else that you add on top is fine. You can add corn, you can add chicken, you can add beef, sausage, whatever you want.
What if
peppers,
the sauce?
all that
What
stuff.
if the base sauce is barbecue sauce?
Then that's not pizza, because again, you need the trifecta.
But the
perfect slice is a triangle. The perfect slice is a triangle. But in that triangle, you got to have the bread, the sauce, and the cheese. Outside of that, anything else? You can't have sauce on top of sauce.
But let's say the base is not the tomatoes. You just said sauce.
Man.
You didn't say it
It's gotta be marinara sauce, bro.
You didn't say
it can't be anything
sauce.
else. I don't consider white pizza. So white pizza is why I do not like artichoke pizza is trash. I hate artichoke. I do not like artichoke slices. I had it one time. I liked it that one time, and then I came to my senses and realized, oh, this is not pizza.
Is
This is bread and white sauce. It might as well be a salad.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, why you gotta do this to me?
Well, because
Is
you
a
literally
hot
just said
dog-
white sauce is not pizza. I'm like, I don't know. Now I
All
gotta.
right, so all right, but then what constitutes a sandwich? Because is a burger a sandwich?
I'm gonna put it in the sandwich realm. Yeah.
Really?
Well, a burger is it's a type of sandwich. I'm gonna put it there. A burger can stand alone, but if we're talking about sandwiches, it's gonna fall in there because it's between two buns.
All right, so there you go. So that's my thing. Okay, so like a sandwich, I agree with that. A sandwich is a meal where you have your protein and potential greens and sides between two buns. But a
Doesn't
hot
have to
dog,
be green. Doesn't have to be.
potential. I said potential
Yeah.
greens.
Okay.
You know, you may not want greens. You may not like leaves. Okay, or other vegetables and sauces and stuff. But is a hot dog in between two buns, or is it on top of one bun that's just happens to be shaped like a V? That's one bun. I wouldn't call it a sandwich.
I'm gonna call it a sandwich because there's two buns on the side and it's in between.
No. It's not. No. Because it's laying on the center, bro. That is not a sandwich,
It should be cut deep enough where it's in there in between.
Bro. No, because if it was a sandwich, the hot dog would literally slip right through.
No. Well, first of all, I should have a strong enough
Is a
grip.
taco a sandwich?
I should have a strong
Is a
enough.
taco a sandwich?
A taco. The reason a taco can't
Why?
because literally it is a shell.
Is
Now-
a bun not a shell?
now,
Is a hot dog a
A
taco?
burrito is closer to being a sandwich than a taco, but
That's true.
That's neither here nor there.
But okay, so then are we saying that hot dogs are just American tacos?
No, I'm saying a hot dog is closer to a sandwich. It could be an American taco, sure, but I'm gonna still say a hot dog is a sandwich.
I don't know. I just realized because if you think about it, okay, all right,
An
all right.
American
So
taco
all right,
is crazy.
No. Check this out. Okay, show me eating a taco. Imagine you have a taco in your hand and eat a taco. Okay, now show me eating a hot dog.
It depends. I guess I can. Personally, I'm gonna grab like this, and I'm putting the glizzy all in my mouth. No pause on that one. Resume. I'm putting the whole Actually, the other day I was in Central Park, and I was like, "Yo, babe, do you want a hot dog?" Nah. So I'm like, "Sir, I'll take one. Put everything on it." He was like, "Everything, sir. Grab that." I almost ordered
I'm like
another
that.
one.
When it comes to hot dogs, I like a street dog and I like just onions. That's it. But notice how you ate the hot dog.
Similar
Yeah, similar to a what?
to a taco, but
Exactly.
But I'll eat a sandwich the same way.
No, you will not, bro.
Well, the
You do
difference is
not
with the sandwich, I go two hands, right?
You go two hands, but you're not going to tilt your head to eat a sandwich.
But the reason I'm tilting my
son.
head,
A sandwich is like
but I can also go like this, or I can literally grab.
You can do that.
The
to a
reason I
taco,
wouldn't
too.
go like this is because
Bro,
of the toppings.
like, come on, you gotta.
It's the toppings. It just doesn't make sense.
I know, but like, yeah, like this. Do this. Do this. Not this. Do this. Not this. Oh man, I don't know. We might have to agree to disagree, but I think I just discovered that hot dogs are tacos.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, if you take a hot dog, put
But
all the toppings on it, you have
that
to eat it like a taco.
the real thing is that pineapple and ham on pizza is totally okay.
Yeah,
and if you're a
absolutely
hater,
okay.
then I don't know what you gotta go grow up.
Yeah, you fucking up.
Unless you're allergic, go grow up.
How can you be allergic to it?
Some people are allergic to pineapple.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm allergic to stone fruit, actually.
What's stone?
Peaches, cherries, plums.
Pineapple, mangoes is another one. The same person was kiwis.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a lot of
Oh
allergies out there.
man, I feel their pain.
My
I miss
brother's
having
allergic.
peaches.
Growing up, he was allergic to eggs, so my mom would fry eggs and he'd like get up in hives. Now now he's fine.
Yeah.
But like,
That's crazy. That's crazy that you think a hot dog's a sandwich. All right, I think on that one we're gonna end it. Once again, thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe. Until next time. Peace.